All right. I am almost right on time. Let's just pop out the chat. Make sure I'm actually appearing. Am I? Yes, I am. Okay. It's always like this when you haven't been on live streams for like 2 weeks and it feels like you haven't streamed forever. Hey, Nick. Hey, Kairos. Hey, Adam Superdog. It's Adam Superdog. Hello. Zachary, Lysander, Gerald. The FN Noob. Comic Nut, how's it going? I hope you're enjoying your battle mats. Hey, Researcher. Moondog. Gadzoots, long time no see. Robert. Defends. David, how's it going, everybody? All right, so HB Haga, hello. And Moonring. Houston, how's it going in Houston? A lovely evening over there, I imagine. So, topics to cover this weekend. Hey, Denison. Your ex-poison story was interesting. I'm curious, how often did you have a character summon? How often did you have a character summon from the lower planes? Not that often. I've been good, thank you. 300 in main, had to do math. Shake scan, James. Not a dog. What have I got for us today? Well, I was going to talk about the Pathfinder. The Kickstarters old and new, to give you some information on my experience of Kickstarter so far and what I have planned going forward. So I've got some exciting news in that regard. And I was also going to talk about the Starfinder video and some controversy with the comment section there. Just to clarify to some people my attitude towards comments and the and stuff, and how I treat my community and how I expect to be treated by the community. No, you're not that late tie-dye Draconomicon. You have finally caught a live chat. That's right, you're right on time. We've just started. No huge rush today. We're going to carry on live streaming until whenever. Early afternoon. Well, for post-rain, thank you all for the dives and lore. You've added my general slump most recently. Oh, nice. Hey, Adranith, good morning. Lee, how's it going? Lore Master, Lore Apprentice. How am I doing? I'm doing great, thank you. What did I think of the Minsk and Boo Journal of Villainy? I haven't actually had a look at it yet. You did make a live chat, that's true. Just a reminder to everybody, it is a super chat enabled live chat. If you want to help me out, buy me some coffee. Thanks, Lee. AJ wants to be treated by the community with cheese. Think of the new feats. Well, I was just actually looking at Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and the feats in there, and I was like, okay, normally you would exchange a ability score increase for a feat, right? But a lot of the feats that they have now include ability score increases. So I'm like, why would you ever not take a feat when you go up a level? And also, I'm kind of sick and tired of 5th edition and its I do something nasty to you, but it's gone the next round thing. Like, for instance, if you're a weapon specialist in slashing weapons or pointies piercing weapons, and you inflict a savage wound on somebody, then their movement is reduced by 10 feet for the following round, and then they remarkably recover. Like, didn't you just, like, hamstring somebody? and now they're fixed all of a sudden. So their movement is reduced for 10 feet for one round. It's like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how do these enemies just suddenly remarkably recover from you doing this slashing wound? It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, stop being such pussies, Wizards of the Coast, and inflict long-term damage to enemies and allies alike. So, like, just toughen up the game a little bit. It's okay. We're all right with it. Thanks, Gadzooks. So I'm a little bit like, I'm hoping that 5.5 will just give you some options to, like, all these things here where you save the next round and stuff. It's like, just get rid of them. Give an option to basically just dial it up to like normal difficulty. That would be nice. Yeah, we've all got Wolverine healing now, Lee. That's exactly. It's like, when did everybody get so, like, just terrified of their character getting an ongoing wound? You came to the right live stream. Yeah, exactly. It's like, fuck, Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, so it's one of the things that I find kind of interesting is that I do get the occasional comment from people saying, why don't Wizards of the Coast employ you and stuff? And I usually joke that they can't afford me. They really can't. But the main reason is because I don't really want to be associated with just like Wizards of the Coast in one company. I know I talk about Dungeons and Dragons all the time, but really I'm all about the role-playing hobby and the broader hobby of role-playing and its usefulness for the entire world. So I'm not just concentrating on developing role-playing games for just America or Australia or the UK or Scandinavia and stuff like that. I'm looking at China and India, the two largest population concentrations on the earth, and how much benefit would there be to break into those markets, those massive populations, and actually get them sitting around a table and role-playing. Because there's one thing that dogmatic religions and totalitarian states really hate, it's role-playing games. And I'll tell you why. I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? It's mind control. They're trying to dictate your morality and your imagination. Like, your wrong think is not allowed, and role-playing games are a direct threat to their control over your thoughts and your feelings in your mind. Because they allow us to sit down at a table face to face, interact with each other through the medium of role-playing games safely and using our imagination and things like that. So it's a rule book for how to interact with people who you normally might not have a friendship with. So it's a pathway to communication. So that's why I think it's pretty vital that the entire world gets into role-playing games. It's not just, I'm not just doing it for, kicks. I really think role-playing games are a benefit to the entire planet, our entire species. So, yeah, I'm not tying myself to Wizards of the Coast because role-playing games are not just Dungeons and Dragons. They're in the entire world. So, yeah. Hey, Moonring. Member for 8 months. Nice. Bronze Dragon. Do auto-gnome dream of electric giant space hamsters? Yes, they do. Dream of the Blue Veil. I was just reading about that this morning as well. Oh, nice, Parker. You got the package from Big Pockets. Loving it. Excellent. Just a tip for everybody. If your battle mats arrive a bit crinkled from being packed up in those plastic carry bags and stuff, just put them in some hot water and they'll straighten right out. It's like a thermoplastic effect of silicone that, it's got a memory for being scrunched up and stuff. But if you dip it in some hot water, it'll get rid of those kinks in it straight away. Criminally sexy people, it's true. Yeah, that's it exactly. Robert. That's exactly why the Satanic Panic started in the first place, is because it's a direct threat to dogmatic, I'm making that clear distinction there, dogmatic religious control, right? I'm not making a swipe at all religion. Certainly not. I'm talking about those specific, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, don't get me wrong. You saw the new art for the Deep Dragon, not impressed. Oh dear. Thanks, Adrianeth. Yeah, Fizzban's Dragon book is coming out, right? Hey, Crow Meat, thank you. Hello, fellow mustache enthusiast. It's more like, can't be asked, shaving my top lip, but here. Which class do you think offers the most possibility for unique roleplay after a 3-year stint Paladin has gone stale? For me, it's always been Cleric and Wizard, because of the inbuilt variety of different types of Wizard or Cleric you can be. Cleric, of course, because you've got all the different options for different faiths, right? So if you're actually paying attention to what clerics are, they follow gods, generally speaking, and they have religions and they have organizations behind them and stuff, if you want to play them like that. And wizards, of course, because they specialize into different schools of wizardry. My favorite, and one that I really want to at some point make some sort of thing for, is the Abjuration Divination Wizard. So basically the magic cops, the CSI. That's what I really like. You'll see me mention them in the latest video on Axe Poison, Secret Origins of Axe Poison. I'm really, really pleased that everybody is enjoying the story elements that I'm putting more and more heavy emphasis, very heavy emphasis on in the latest videos. And this comes back to the Kickstarters, right? Happy free RPG day, everybody. By the way, go down to your local game store and get some free stuff. Discount Jabberwocky. Nice. Rational Redneck quarter stream. No super chats today until I get some good news on the job search. Oh, well, best of luck, man. Ready's Dare, thank you. Could you make a video on how you would make D&D normal difficulty or even hard? Yeah, absolutely. I can do that. Thanks, Moonring. What do you think of them removing the Steel and Song Dragon? Removing? Well, I think that would be catastrophic. I mean, you've seen how important the Steel Dragon in Waterdeep is, right? With my Long Bite Ripplebark video. Yeah, it's free RPG day. Oh, bowling leagues take precedent, comrade, that's for sure. I know this. There's a few things you don't do in life, and one of them is let down your bowling team. Slow down movement attacks that have to be saving throw each round or pass or a heal spell. Yep. Oh, thanks, Shakescan. Doesn't Elminster have a kid that's half Song Dragon? Yes. Fizzban, like, removes them? Or just didn't mention them? Man, this is news. Oh, absolutely, tie-dye Draconomicon. Well, every day is a good day to live on a mountain in the wilderness. I mean, it's just stuff, right? An RPG isn't just Dungeons and Dragons, it's just Vampire the Masquerade. Well, a lot of people in the UK, for instance, Grimmachu was talking about this, is they didn't get their start in Dungeons and Dragons. They started in Call of Cthulhu or Vampire the Masquerade or something else. A lot of people these days obviously started with 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. It's a perfectly good edition. I've got no beef with any edition of Dungeons and Dragons. I've played them all, apart from the original white box set. I started out as a player of Dungeons and Dragons, not a DM, and I didn't start DMing really until 3.5 edition. But I played the hell out of 1st and 2nd edition D&D, AD&D, and a little bit of basic. I'm very familiar with basic D&D, but I didn't really have a gaming group that played basic D&D. We basically went straight on to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I was a player in that group, so I didn't really understand the rules that well, because they took care of that, a lot of that for me. What I DM'd first was, like, my first DMing was in Palladium. Heroes Unlimited, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rifts, all of that stuff. So I'm very much like my heart and soul is Palladium when it comes to like, yeah, I've run so many Heroes Unlimited games. Yeah, more than you've had hot dinners. Hey, Defense, welcome to Bronze Dragon. It feels so Twitch streamy when I say that. Welcome to Bronze Dragon. Thanks for becoming a member of the channel. It retcons them as mischievous metallic dragons. Fuck. Really? What was wrong with steel dragons as they were? Honestly. Steel dragons are awesome. Wizards of the Coast changed the steel and song dragons to be metallic dragons that were being funny. It's in the book. You'll have to read it once it comes out. And they killed off Sardior. No. Hey, Tia Lisa. Hey, Nick. Wow. Wow. Oh, YouTube started it first. Oh, okay. Yeah, exactly. Why would they eliminate any monster from their backlog? It doesn't make any sense. Exactly, Gary. There's no canon now, right? They've admitted that themselves. So, I mean, that personally frees me up to invent anything I want for Dungeons & Dragons. So I'm not just a lore channel now. I'm also just producing content for you that you can use or not as you see fit. And occasionally, like, I got a comment on the axe poison video of saying, like, is this real? And I'm like, no, I just made it up, you know? But why do I even need to specify? I did actually mention in the video that it's just made up. Wizards killed Sardior. No. Your first experience was Keep on the Borderlands and Tomb of Horrors. Nice. Well, I mean, Wizards of the Coast is putting out a lot of, like, quite a variety of content, and they're kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So they've had limited success with their Magic the Gathering crossovers. I think Theros is probably the most popular. Ravnica was a bit of a no-go. I don't think we're going to see much more from Ravnica. Innistrad, I think, is probably going to be more popular. Strixhaven is coming out soon, and that's looking quite exciting. I'm quite excited for Strixhaven, mainly because I'm going to be taking a tour of Helruer. Okay, so Kickstarter. The first off, let me just admit that the Kickstarter was for the battle mats and stuff. Hang on, I'm just going to hold up one of the. I've got one of the printed ones. I've just got one of the clear ones down here. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm talking about, these are the silicone battle mats. Right, this is one of the translucent ones, unprinted. So you can basically. It's not transparent, but yeah, they're quite large, very flexible, will last forever. They're a lot heavier and thicker than any of the other silicone battle mats on the market. They're good, right? So they're going to be available for pre-order basically after the end of this month, I think. We'll be opening up the web store in cahoots with D&D WoW, who do the dice and stuff. But I'll put links and stuff like that into the community channel. I did not make money from this Kickstarter. In fact, I'm $10,000 in the hole from this Kickstarter because we faced a pandemic and a global shipping crisis, and I basically sold them almost below cost. So anybody who thinks that I was like bilking people for shipping money and stuff like that, completely fucking wrong. It was a labor of love for me to basically change up and challenge the hobby and produce a product that was really, really good that's going to last a lifetime. And I did that, and I got all the products out to everybody, apart from 3 who are waiting on some big orders. We need to print some more. And I'm very happy with it. Like, I'm okay with the fact that it cost me money. I didn't make anything off it. I learned a lot about how Kickstarter works and how manufacturing works, and I've established some really good contacts in China with people who work very hard, who are trying to get into the hobby, right, and support it. Yeah, so the new Kickstarter coming up is the one that I basically think everybody was expecting me to do, which is a book. And in the videos that are coming out at the moment, you'll see me talking about the journey of the sage, right? So the one in the pseudo dragon is AJ in the tower at Candlekeep, and his pet Macrotaxel, who's well, not a pet. His companion, his flatmate, is a pseudo dragon. And he's basically at the end of his journey, and he pulls out of his journals, and he's talking to Maxotraxel about his year-long adventure, where he was trying to get to the continent of Aussie, but didn't actually make it all the way to Aussie. It's actually pronounced Aussie because it's like a joke about Australia. Whenever anybody tells you that there's no like direct correlation between nations and peoples in the Forgotten Realms, it's complete bullshit. Aussie is the continent of Australia. So what's going to happen is I'm going to produce a book which is funded through Kickstarter, which has a journey all the way from Candlekeep through Arm, the Weldath, Tether, Kalimshan, across the Shining Sea, back to Kalimshan, thanks to a fight with some pirates, around the Lake of Steam, into the ruins of Ilithir and Ankornash, across the Shar, into Halrua, airship to Lurin, across Estegund, into the Purple Desert, and then basically get to the mountains and can't get any further and have to turn back thanks to monsters. And the story of the sage is essentially going to be all of those story elements that you find at the start of my videos, and with sections and sketches and stuff. So the Kickstarter is going to be funding maps and artwork, and Kickstarter backers who basically back for higher levels are going to be inserted into the story as NPCs, and I'm also going to get likenesses of those people. They send me photos, and then when I'm commissioning artwork of people in the background or people in the story who are with the sage, they're going to be NPCs in the book who are inserted into the Forgotten Realms. Now, here's the tricky thing, and here's the cool thing about it as well. Because of the open game license of Dungeons & Dragons, or of Wizards of the Coast, it allows you to produce free content as a fan. But what I can't do is have a Kickstarter book which only people who have backed the thing and paid for can get access to. It has to be free for everybody to access. So the PDF of the text of the entire book will be freely available to everybody. So the PDF will be free. Anybody will be able to download it and read the entire thing for free. The funding from the Kickstarter is purely for hardcover books, artwork, maps, and additional, like, you know, sketches and things like that, which are included. All the pretty stuff. So the text of the book will be freely available for everyone. In concert with that, all of the hard work that the people on the Discord server in the Monster Match section have been doing to create unique monsters for a possible bestiary from our, grown out of this community, will be included as a second book, part of that Kickstarter, which is a companion with the story, which mentions all of these new monsters and things like that, because we're going to be visiting the entire southern coast of Faerun and expanding on and looking at various aspects of it. So the story of the sage is kind of limited because he's not visiting all of Halrua. He's just going to specific little points. So it's like, here's a snapshot of this, here's a snapshot of this, here's a snapshot of that. But he's skipping over certain bits and he's sort of more concentrated on others. And yeah, that's the basic plan. And so that Kickstarter will be more of a traditional sort of thing. So more artwork, book, and things like that. And and because we're basically avoiding a lot of the registered copyright trademark and stuff of Wizards of the Coast, we can produce that, much like Kobold Press and things like that produce their bestiaries. So yeah, and those profits with those authors will all be shared with them equally. So anybody who's contributed to that will get a percentage in percentage to how much they've contributed to the actual book. So it's a community that is very much, it's a group of people who are working together. And basically I just take the role of somebody who's promoting and producing it. So there you go. That's going to be the project. Will you run into Ixazar Chittles? Yes, Moonring. As I'm going across the shining sea, I run into Chilton pirates. This is in an effort to basically stop the illegal trade of pseudo-dragons, which I mentioned. So yeah. So yeah, I had a rough time with the first Kickstarter, but we got it done. And just the fact that we got all of these things delivered within a few months, produced and delivered within a few months in a global shipping crisis and a pandemic, I think was a miracle in and of itself. So I'm fairly confident that going forward, I'll know what to do. Also, Kickstarter is not really, like, behind the scenes, Kickstarter isn't as user-friendly as you would think. It's been around for a long time, but they haven't really, like, I don't know. If it don't break, don't fix it. But it's not really, it's like they don't sort of have incorporated stretch goals and things like that. Stretch goals were never originally part of Kickstarter, so they've never really done anything to support that software-wise. Also, the backer kit people that I was dealing with, I haven't got a lot of nice things to say about backer kit. I don't know if I'll use them going forward. I'll probably go with somebody who's more specialized in producing books. But yeah, they had like a 2-week holiday while right in the midst of it, and it was just a fucking nightmare working with those guys. They gave me just like nothing but spreadsheets and stuff. I had to learn about SCUs and MOQs and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and in the end, it cost me a lot of money, but I made sure that everybody involved got paid, and I made sure that everybody got the products that they were looking for and had paid for. So yeah. Don't you have to go through the DMs Guild in order to use Forgotten Realms? That's only if I'm publishing through the DMs Guild. I'm not publishing through the DMs Guild. The PDF will be freely available for anybody to read, so they'll be able to download that everywhere. So yeah. That's, essentially my channel operates under the Open Gaming License, so I'm quite familiar with it. So I can't ever put a video that is talking about Dungeons & Dragons lore behind a paywall. It has to be freely available for everybody to watch. And YouTube allows me to do that because they sell advertising through Google. So that's good. Yeah, I am very happy with the way that the products turned out. They're exactly as specified. The glow-in-the-dark battle mats, for instance, are absolutely fantastic. I've got a big bunch of them that I ordered and got delivered the same way everybody else did it myself. I saw the international packaging, the air freight companies. This is the thing that really pisses me off, right? You order a pizza these days, excuse me, mini rant. You order a pizza these days, they take a picture of the pizza being made. They take a picture of the pizza in the car being transported to you. They track it on a little like GPS thing, and it's basically, they tell you when it's right at your door. And that's a pizza company. International shipping, there's no reason why they can't do that too. Every single time that they scan your parcel, they should take a photo of it, right? So that you know, without a doubt, that air freight company crushed your box of stuff, mangled it, and by the time it got to the international shipping center, the sorting center for, transfer to your local delivery driver, it was already fucked, right? And then you can turn around and say to that shipping company, I got charged 300% more than normal rates, right? Because you're bilking everybody because of this pandemic and the container shipping crisis. And you did that to these products because you knew that they could handle it because they're basically silicon mats. That's not cool. Not cool. So yeah, like, talk about wild when I saw the damage that happened to the box. I mean, lucky everything got delivered, but geez, I think the now that everybody's charging us like wounded bulls for shipping, we really should demand more from them. They need to update and basically expose these people for like being the grunting Neanderthals that they are, and sort it out, because it's not okay. Yeah, international couriers treat boxes like footballs. Yeah, they basically just crush them. They stick like big pack. They just pack everything into those air freight containers. It's ridiculous. Not one single part of the box that all the mats and stuff came in was okay. The entire thing had been crushed from multiple angles. So it had been tumbled and scrunched. Like, seriously. If there was anything even remotely fragile in there, it would have been completely fucked. I've had some products that I got through Etsy powdered when they arrived, because they were in a basically a plastics like bubble wrap bag thingy with a little velvet bag thing, and the thing was just pulverized. It was in pieces like a crushed tooth. It was ridiculous, and I had no compensation for it whatsoever. Just like, we don't know where, like they just, feign ignorance. Like, oh, don't know what happened. It's like, really? I work specifically in international shipping. Oh, did you? What I want isn't possible. Well, yeah, no, it is. It is. They basically just have to redesign the way that they move parcels around. Because if they're going to pay this much, then they need to support it through infrastructure. So they need to change the infrastructure. They need to update everything. Nice, Epic Thulu. Yeah, good. Gojira dance on the packaging for good measure. The other issue I have with, if you do buy books through the DMs Guild or Drive Through RPG, they insist on packaging them in basically a cardboard wrapper. Now that's fine if it's been transported across the continental USA. And the thing is, they're not actually manufactured in the USA. They're manufactured in the UK and then shipped out from the UK all around the world. And I mean, yes, it's environmentally friendly to use like cardboard packaging and stuff, but it's also fucking ridiculous that they do that when international, they know damn well that international shipping, I've had books arrive that have been bent like this, like a forklift has rolled over them, or they've been caught in something and literally folded over and munted. I think I can count how many of books I've had arrive that haven't been at least damaged on the corners. And for a book collector, that's just heartbreaking, right? I want my books to arrive in pristine condition. So wrap it in some plastic. It's going to be traveling around the entire planet, and it's going to travel through multiple different shipping companies, and they're all going to treat it in their specific precious little way. And it takes 6 months for those books to get to New Zealand at times. So I've had instances where it's been delayed getting here, and I've had to like tell Drive Through RPG that the book hasn't arrived, so they print another one and send it off, and then both of them arrive, and one's munted, the other one's not, or sometimes they both are, and it's like it's costing them a lot of money. So that restricts how many print on demand books that they'll release, because it's costing them money. It's just like, if you put a little bit of more effort into your packaging, then you won't have so many books that get mangled on arrival, and you won't have to replace so many of them, which will cost you less money. But they insist, nope, we're not going to do it. Send it by Falcon, go Xerxes to New Zealand. Oh yeah, 1,000 more subs and I get the silver play button. Well, it's probably more like another 3,000 subs or something. Like YouTube needs to make sure that I've got over 100,000 subscribers before they send the silver play button out. But I imagine it will probably sit somewhere like up here eventually. That'll be nice. Certainly nice for a Kiwi, humble little Kiwi with a silver play button. Mm. So yeah, because I mean, like I'm kind of hot under the collar about the whole shipping thing because it did cost me an enormous amount of money, much more than I thought it would, and planned for. So the budgeting that I did for the backing, like the original Kickstarter campaign, failed because it was just too expensive. And then when I cut the costs of the products themselves to compensate for the amount of shipping money that people were going to be spending. So essentially, I was selling the battle mats at cost, and then the shipping fees were high, right? So it seemed like I was charging the same amount of money for the shipping as I was for the products. But what I was actually doing was discounting the products to an enormous, crazy degree to compensate for how much the shipping was going to cost. Honestly, ironically, it would have been more acceptable for people if the products had been twice as expensive and the shipping cost was only half of what the products costed. Right? That's the mentality of people who get charged. You know, they're like, "What? The shipping cost is that much?" They can't compute that I've discounted the products to compensate for the shipping. So yeah, and even so, you know, while I was waiting for the backer kit surveys to come in, because some people really delayed sending in their surveys so that I could get products sent out, our shipping fees went up by 14%. And that was over days. So I was watching this bill go up and up and up. It was like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I was like, whoo, it's starting to pinch a little bit. Yeah. The only way the shipping will get better is if the system suffers a catastrophe. Well, we're in the midst of a catastrophe right now. I think we should start shipping via dirigible containers, basically big airships. Because one of the problems is that the shipping companies, like particularly in New Zealand, we had a situation where there were lots of local shipping companies that dropped things off to various ports around what is largely a coastally inhabited country. And what happened is the government at the time opened up international shipping companies to compete with local shipping companies. The international shipping companies dropped their prices so low that all of the local companies went out of business. Then the international shipping company said, we're only going to these major ports. We're not going to any of the local ports anymore. It's not worth our time. And so that crippled local shipping around New Zealand. That made us overly reliant, because our rail transport system wasn't really up to snuff, made us overly reliant on freighting via trucks and trailers. So containers, shipping containers on trucks all over the roads in New Zealand. They damage the roads a lot more than traffic does, like normal traffic. And yeah, it's an ongoing cost and logistics problem. And also, cars get into accidents with trucks more often. So the more trucks there are on the road, the more road accidents there are, particularly logging trucks and things like that. Yeah. So what I would like to see is big airships that pick up shipping containers and just slow transport them across the planet and drop them directly where they need to be. Hey, thanks, Moonthirst. I always get your name wrong. Moonthirst Projects. Hey, AJ, happy to see you streaming again. Question, have you sent all Kickstarter products yet? Because I haven't yet been charged for shipping yet, although I did fill the survey a while back. You haven't been charged for shipping yet? You should have been. Please email me and give me the details of your order. And I'll find out what the hell's going on. Because if you haven't been charged shipping, then your order wouldn't have gone through. If you haven't filled out the survey in time or something like that. If there was some sort of like a problem with your survey and we were sending emails to you to get something sorted out, yeah, because it's long past the point. Like we have finished manufacturing. So we're just waiting on, at the moment, the silicon rubber prices are twice what they were when we started the Kickstarter because of the shipping crisis and blah, blah, blah. So we're waiting on the shipping, the prices to come down somewhat, and all the people in the factories to come back from their national holiday over in China. And then we'll start another manufacturing run. So yeah, I am concerned about that. Thanks, Skriznik. Ouch. What if material plane is the only one with matter? Outsiders and gods are spirits that need to possess mortal vessels. What changes cosmologically? But that's not the way it is. So it's kind of a moot point. It could be that if you like, because there's also that's very much like a homebrew question. So it's up to you to, like, if you want to posit that as that's the way it is, then you decide how that works. It's not for me to decide how to run that in your game. The pandemic was probably Tharasdeen's fault. We need like a Papa Nurgle for D&D. We need a disease demon. We don't really have that, I don't think. Do we? Oh, nice, Andrew. Do you guys got chocobos in New Zealand with them, the mailman riding them? No, that would be Australia. They've got chocobos. They're called emus. Actually, they've got murder chocobos called cassowaries, which you should never go anywhere near. Imagine the Hindenburg, but with shipping containers. Yeah, but it's not the Hindenburg, though. Hey, Green Scythe. Imagine basically being like a shipping container hobo, right? And I don't mean hobo in an offensive to homeless people. I'm talking about hobo as in somebody who gets on trains and goes like, what else would you call that, right? A train jumper, but being a shipping container jumper, and you transport via that was my headphones falling off my microphone for some reason, and landing on my printer. Thanks for giving me a heart attack. Basically you're like high altitude way on this dirigible hot air balloon. That'd be fun. You arrive in like Brunei. Homeward Bound. A vagabond. There we go. That's better. What are you talking about, Slenderman? It's scary. Yeah. What was that? It scared the crap out of me. Vecna saying hi. Yeah. AJ is a 4/6 in Magic the Gathering as a creature. That's not bad. Actually, my defensive ability is way lower. Oh, the noises. That's guinea fowl outside who are they're singing the song of their people. It's guinea fowl mating season. So, yeah, they're all like making noises. No, the cat's outside. It was kind of funny. I woke up before, like normally she will wake up at about 5 a.m. and gives me the whole like walks around the bed, like makes banging noises at the thing. Because normally what I do is I get up and I'll like open a side window and she goes outside and chases birds and does a business and stuff. And then she'll come back in and I'll have her food ready and things like that. But this morning, I woke up at 4. And I got up and I watched a bit of Jordan's live stream in the morning. Like I know I'm up early when I'm watching his breakfast live stream. And I was up before her, so I went out and like opened up the curtains and opened up the side window and got her food ready and stuff. And she comes wandering out and she's like, "What's going on?" You've never seen a cat need a cup of coffee more in your entire life. She's just like wandering around, like staring at stuff, like not unaware of what to do. Things had gone weird. Moonring. Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, so let's talk about the Star Frontiers video and my hidden agenda. So as you know, I was basically talking about what Star Frontiers was, and for most of the video, about the first 7 minutes or so, I was just talking about what it was, what it historically was, how it operates, how its rule system operates, things like that. Pretty standard. And then at the end of the video, I talked about why we're basically not going to see a Star Frontiers or a Spelljammer or a Planescape like we were expecting to see because of inclusion, right? So and I was talking about what Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have been doing to broaden the appeal of Dungeons and Dragons to a much wider audience. And of course, that whenever you mention any sort of gender issues or anything in the Dungeons and Dragons community, as a content creator, you inevitably attract a lot of fanatical attention. And sometimes I will do this deliberately, particularly if I've had a lot of new subscribers over a certain period of time. And what I do is I essentially wait for these people to come out. And it's not like I'm silencing debate that's kicking back against it. Anybody who actually reads through the comments and pays attention, if you are coming at it with a respectful attitude and you're presenting your thoughts and feelings and stuff, and you're not just regurgitating all of this fanatical crap that's on the far side of either sort of political, what you think is political, but it's actually just like gender issues. It's not politics. Politics involves politicians. There's no gender politicians. So really what I was talking about was the hobby and aspects of it as I've seen over the years that 5th edition has been developing, and also earlier editions as well, and how the hobby is changing and developing and being more inclusive of a broader range of people. And so what happens is when somebody comes at me like an arsehole, I will treat them as such, and I will silence them and mute them. If they're attacking other people in the comment section, I will mute them from the channel forever. And that's it. They just go away. And I do that almost deliberately to draw these people out. They pop up and I lop their head off and they go away, basically. And they can choose whether to subscribe to my channel or not. But it's my channel and I decide what I want to see in my comment section. I don't want to see people being aggressive, talking about me in the third person like I'm not even there, attacking other people, or twisting everything around to being a gender or a race issue. They're gone. Anybody who says woke, it automatically goes into a content filter. So I get to see their comment and say, But invariably, whenever somebody uses the word woke, they're not coming at that with they're not commenting in any way like they can change their mind or they're trying to change other people's minds. They're just attacking people, and I won't have it. So yeah, so I got a bit of flack from people saying, well, you're just silencing any opposition. It's just like, no, I'm just silencing assholes. There's a big difference, and the fact that they can't see what they're doing as asshole behavior is pretty telling, really. It's like you've got a sociological problems. If you can't just talk to somebody without being a complete prick, then that's what's going to happen. You're just going to go away. I've got no problem with people having opposing points of view, but you need to accept the fact that other people have different points of view and just move on with your life, you know? So every time somebody comes out and says, oh, there's a new edition coming out, and people are like, it's just a money grab. It's like, yeah, it's a money grab. It's a company that makes money and produces the game that we love. There's going to be new additions and new changes to the game all the time. There always have been. Nothing that they're not getting rid of anything that's printed already. Like your books aren't disappearing off the shelf. Like, get over it. Get over it, man. So yeah, I do silence people that are pricks in the comment section. That's it. And I will always do that. And I do not apologize for that. How do you heal the universe of Warhammer 40k? There's, Robert. Man, I don't know. Let's see. The death of the Elder created the warp, right? The warp gods in the first place. Or was it? I don't know. Because they kind of pre-existed, right? Even in Warhammer 40k, the elves fucked everything up before the humans got there. Am I right? Right, it was the fall of the Elder that basically created Slaanesh, right? Oh, sorry, Moonray. No, I've got no problem with Spelljammer. Spelljammer fits a particular type of storytelling. Like there was Space 1889 and the like John Carter of Mars and Barsoom. Like Dream of the Blue Veil is essentially what John Carter did in John Carter of Mars, right? The Barsoom series. He goes into a slumber and he transitions from one planet to another, but his body still remains behind. So he's like in stasis. And yeah, so he goes to his tomb or whatever, and then he wakes up on Mars. So that's essentially what Dream of the Blue Veil, the spell, does. It allows you to transition through the veil. So it's like I suspect what they're doing is they're going to integrate the Astral Sea, kind of like they had with 4th edition, as the Spelljammer phlogiston. Maybe. I don't know. But I don't really have any problem with Spelljammer and the phlogiston and the crystal spheres or anything like that, like as Dyson spheres or great artifacts of the great beyond. But I also have no problem with people just homebrewing that out of their games if they don't want it. So I don't think it has to be that way. Yeah, whack a git. Yeah, that would be it. And the thing is that those people making those comments were basically making threats of cancelling me. Well, I got news for them. I've been cancelled before. I've lived through that shit. So bring it on. Like, I'm not going to get intimidated by anybody who tells me what I can and cannot say on my own fucking channel. And I've always been that way. It's my channel and I will do what I want. Anybody who wants to stick around for the ride, you're most welcome. Anybody who tries to control what I say or do, get the fuck out. I'm very, very reasonable, but I am very much in favor of freedom of expression. But that freedom of expression does not allow freedom to assault people or threaten them or try and control anybody, without consequence. There are consequences, and that consequence is me saying, no, you're not welcome in this room. Go away. I don't want you around. What's that, Andrew? D&D and Magic the Gathering was never exclusive. I've played with all creeds, ages, genders, and colours. It's sad Hasbro is a bunch of morons. Well, Andrew, that's true from your experience, but there are, you've got to listen to the voices of other people who have had other experiences of Dungeons and Dragons. Just because it's true for you doesn't mean it's generally true for the entire hobby. So yeah, that's the what is it? It's a point of privilege that you have, right? That you had a situation where you had an inclusive gaming environment. Other people who have tried to get into the hobby in previous times have faced these hidden misogynistic pricks, right, who will prey on somebody and then be completely different around their friends. And their friends have no idea that there's anything wrong. But this other person has left the hobby forever because they've had this really bad experience and they've got nobody to sort of tell, like, this person has been really creepy. And it only takes one person doing that to really seriously damage. That person will then talk to other people and they'll just not want to play role-playing games ever again. So one harmful person, one predatory person can do enormous amounts of damage to the longevity of your hobby in your region. So new people just will not come into it because that one person is dug in like an Alabama tick and just will not leave, and you have no idea what they're actually doing in the background. So yeah, You need to be aware, and you need to listen to the voices of other people who are telling you that there are problems, and we need to address those problems in our community, and we need to single out the people who are causing those problems and expose them for what they're doing, And they quite often hide in the groups of people who are very fanatical about, using the words woke and stuff like that. And it's like, like the MGTOW people. And as soon as I see somebody with MGTOW in their name, it's just like, red flag. There is legitimate male rights activist stuff, but there's also a lot of complete ass wipes in that movement who deserve to get keel hauled, honestly. And call me woke if you want to. I'm basically just a centrist person. Like, New Zealand's a very centrist. I'm a centre-left political person, and I'm, very open to whatever, people's freedoms. So yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me. Oh, elves are definitely still assholes in Spelljammer, that's for sure. Hey, thanks, Parker. Is there a canon way Yugoloths grow in power outside of hags? Demons grow by surviving in the abyss and consuming other demons, and devils grow by merit. It's part of the reason Yugoloths like money is that they pay for better forms. Yeah, essentially. And hags wield enormous power in that way, but there's not just hags who do that. Like devils and things like that. The hags use foul magics and techniques and stuff for advancing the Yugoloths, and they've got an inroad there because they know how Yugoloths work. But there's also demodans and things like that. So there's other infernal powers that I haven't even touched on, really. I haven't even talked about the demodans yet. The tar demons. Thanks, Jeremy. Assholes. What are we talking about? Just got here. I'm just talking about people who are abusive. What's that, Ironhead Gaming? Social justice warriors are pussies and should be driven out. Yeah, well, look at the opposition that they face just for basically trying to get people to treat other people with respect and dignity. Yeah. Mind you, the biggest snowflakes I've seen are the people who essentially say stuff like that. It's like, what are you threatened by? Exactly. Oh, they're not trying to cancel. They're like threatening with cancelling me. Like, they're saying, pride comes before the fall, or, you silence us and see what happens, sort of thing. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen what happens. You'll stick with me like a vampire exits Archittle on a dragon turtle. Thanks, Moonring. Yeah, and it's the fact that these predatory people exist in this hobby where quite often it's like marginalized people who are drawn to the hobby in the first place, people who don't really like fit in to other social groups and things. So they are really like in a vulnerable spot, right? And when they get preyed on by these pricks who just like, are abusive, and it's not just like mean towards women, it's just abusive people abusing other people. It's not just a gender issue, and you don't see it. You don't see it because you're friends with these folk, and you just do not see it because you're not the people that they prey on, and they're very good at hiding it. And then once they're exposed for doing these things, and you just don't want to believe it. But you have to, and you have to like censure them and get them out of the hobby or get them out of your life, just blacklist them basically and say, you're out. Nobody's going to game with you anymore. Go away. Yeah, that's it, not a dog. It's MGTOW, or Men Go Their Own Way. It's a male rights movement that's 20% valid points and about 80% guys who wish it was the 1950s again. Yeah. Basically, go back and look at the newspaper articles from the 1950s and talking about how acceptable it was for men to beat their wives. And you're like, if that doesn't like seriously give you problems, there is something fundamentally wrong with you. I'm not just courting controversy, I'm welcoming it. For sure. Come at me, man. I'm fine with this. I mean, I have ejected people from my gaming group, from my house, from my life, and exposed them for what they've done at the gaming table, because I've seen this sort of behavior, right? So I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk in my life as well. I welcome everybody to my table, but I don't welcome every kind of behavior, right? So you're welcome to sit at my table and play my games. And I've brought a lot of new people into the hobby, either directly through gaming with them or, through my videos and sharing lore and stuff with everyone. But I do not welcome predators or assholes, essentially. That's basically it. And everyone who's had sort of any experience with the comment section and this live streaming and in our Discord channel and things like that, it's a very open, happy, welcoming community of people who talk about the game, and they don't talk about politics and gender issues and things like that, generally speaking, because it's not conducive to that. Like they're not the people who are very like, they're just looking to fight and troll and victimize people because, I don't know, they didn't get held enough as a child or whatever. They're just not comfortable in the communities that I foster because of that attitude, that passion for the game that I have, and that passion for welcoming everybody and everybody's opinions. But I do not welcome violence or aggression. It's just not welcome. Hey, Mind Pilot. I'm just talking about the sort of a comment aggression that I got in the video that I was talking about Star Frontiers, and I basically raised some topics at the end of it, which, were backed up by facts. And the thing is that I raised these questions, these topics, and not one of them responded to what I was talking about. They just shouted this mantra of bollocks, essentially, because they never stick to the point. They always try and twist it around to these argument points that they've practiced on, that they're dogmatically following. And if you don't follow their lead, then they get very, very aggressive. Yeah. But I don't play the games. I've got much more interesting things to do with my time. Man, Moonring, you're hitting those Ixodarchittles hard today. By the way, Autonome got me thinking, what Auto's Ixodarchittle? Well, they don't really smelt metal or anything, and I don't know, seashells and stuff like that isn't really, they're just not a tool using sort of society. They don't really need to be. Thanks, Shriznik. Do metallic dragons ever give magic items as gifts? Asking because of new horde items and fizzbands. How long does it take the friendship need to grow first? Rarely. The video that I had on bronze dragons around the 10-minute 22 mark, I talk about dragons and their attitudes towards treasure hoards. And the way that I equate it is like if you're at a banquet and all of the food is just being passed from one person to another and nobody's eating the food, but you're ravenously hungry, you would see their behavior as crazy. Dragons see the way that humanoids treat treasure like they're just passing around items of food that nobody's eating. And then when somebody comes in and tries to steal their hoard of treasure, it's like you're stealing food off their plate. They're the only ones who are actually appreciating and consuming the food, and they're not going to give up anything off their table. It's theirs. Like, that's their food. That's their meal. Right? So metallic dragons will accumulate treasures, and they'll occasionally give away something that is not appreciated much by them. So it might be a duplicate magic item. They've got a better one, and they'll give you the knockoff, sort of thing. It's still fabulous, but they've got something better. It depends on the dragon. Sometimes a bronze dragon will value the lore and history of an item more than the functionality of the item itself. So a relatively simple +1 sword that happens to have been owned by a local hero is more valuable to them than a +2 sword that doesn't have a story or history attached to it for bronze dragons. Copper dragons, different. Silver dragons, different. Gold dragons, different. They've all got their own personality types and their likes and dislikes and things. Oh no, I appreciate that. I appreciate it, not a dog. I do appreciate opposing points of view. Just all I demand is respect. Respect and the acceptance of the fact that other people have different points of view. I welcome debate, right? Nobody should live in a bubble. Hey, thanks, Mark. Do different cleric divine domains have different roles within a church for a deity? Do different cleric divine domains have different roles within a church for a deity? It's a complex issue because deities are really defined by their domains quite a bit. And they don't really have anything to do with domains that are outside of their portfolio. Like Kalimvor, for instance, is very much about certain specific roles that Kalimvor is the god of. So he becomes a cliche of those, and he doesn't really operate outside of those. So Kalimvor doesn't have anything to do with burning and combustion or shipping travel. Nobody on a boat prays to Kalimvor for a safe journey across the sea. They pray to Deep Chrysalis or something else, right? So within the Church of Kalimvor, the clerics of the divine domains of, say, death and healing or something like that, Kalimvor, they would have different branches of the clergy which deal with those sort of things. So Kalimvor's clerics deal with interring the dead and doing the rituals and stuff to make sure that undead don't rise. So that could be burning the bodies or decapitating them nicely, privately, and then having a nice burial ceremony on consecrated ground. So they'll consecrate ground and stuff to make sure that undead don't happen. That sort of thing. But they wouldn't do things like, I don't know, have a harvest festival or something like that, because that's just not what Kalimvor does. So I don't know. I hope that possibly answers your question. It's a tricky one. Exactly, AJ. I'm saying that you can be an asshole without being a complete grognard about it. Yeah, I'm openly evil and still manage to be pleasant on most occasions. These guys are just unlawfully stupid. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I can be fairly evil myself. I have fairly harsh views on certain things. Yeah, I'm not all nice. Nobody is, apart from possibly my mum. Gold dragons eat gems because they're vegans. Oh. Well, I think that's pretty much a good point to finish the live stream for today. I think I've covered all of the points I was going to cover. Think so. It's been good. I'll be joining you for another live stream in about 2 weeks' time. You may notice that my content production has been very high lately. Basically putting out a video every 3 days or so, and that will continue pretty much to the end of the year. I do have a campaign planned for an Innistrad campaign planned that I'm going to be playing with Dungeon Dad and Doxy and a couple of other people. So you'll be able to see me playing, streaming and playing, or possibly just recording the games. I'm not entirely sure. Dire Halfling Mother's... well, she's not a Dire Halfling. She's an actual hobbit. I'm the Dire Halfling. What? Will I play as an auto gnome? No. I'm basically playing like a cross between Leonardo DiCaprio's character in Revenant and Aragorn and the ship captain from Jaws. Like a combination of those. Oh, and what's his name? The Onion Knight from Game of Thrones. Because he's a smuggler. He's a smuggler. And Innistrad. Innistrad's an interesting setting because basically all of the characters are supposed to be humans, right? The Golden Rule. Yeah, the Golden Rule. Shard Mines. More rifts? Maybe. More stories. More Dragon Tales. I really enjoyed the Dragon Tales. And more videos on monsters, of course. I'm about halfway through writing the script on the Mimic, a remastered Mimic video. I probably won't play a Rifts campaign. I'll probably play a Phase World, but using the STC rules from Heroes Unlimited. So it'd be like an Aliens Unlimited game. Probably low powered, maybe using the Subminer super abilities table. Do another Tick game. The Tick universe. The Onion Knight, I thought of Final Fantasy, yeah. I'm mimicking the Mimic vid. Yeah, it's true. All right, everybody. Catch you later. Thanks for putting up with my ranting bullshit. And I'll catch you in 2 weeks. Oh, that'll be on Dungeon Dad's channel, I would say. And stay tuned for the Kickstarter, which will happen eventually.